Okay, so let's talk about industrial design and how would you use other subjects. So not just art, because you definitely use art. For any kind of design, you're using the principles of design that we've started discussing. But also, you do have to sketch, you use art, you use creative problem solving, but you also use a lot of other subjects. Some of the most obvious ones being math and science. How would we use those? Well, for one, you do use the scientific method when you are designing things because you have to take into account not only the materials that you use on that, like you might want a specific kind of plastic for a certain type of coffee maker, except that if that plastic can't handle a certain temperature and it starts to break down, then you can't use that plastic, right? So you're using science. You still have to have a knowledge of some of those things. Also, math, not just with coming up with equations for things and measurements. You have to have measurements, how big is something going to be and things like that, but also the business side of it. So consider this, you are making a product and you want to use this one material, but it's really expensive, just the material by itself. Well, by the time you buy the material and then you put the product together, in order to make a profit off of that, you have to charge way more than what people would use. So you'd actually end up losing money. What does that mean? How does that work? Let's go a little bit deeper into that business side of it, because this is something you could use even just day-to-day planning your budget when you have your own place and you're buying groceries and things. So you are spending, let's say it costs $35 to build whatever it is that you want to build, okay? So you bought all the materials, each individual thing, so the metal or the plastic or the gears or the electronic parts of it or the memory chips, depending on what it is, all those individual parts, right? You've bought all of that. And if you break it down into units, it might cost, let's say, $35 to make a watch. All right. If you are going to not only pay for the materials, which is $35 to make that watch, but you have to be paid, then the people who manufactured it, who actually took all those things and your idea and made that watch, have to be paid. The warehouse owner, whoever owns the warehouse where the stuff is made, has to get paid. All right, so by the time you pay all these people, how much are you charging for this watch, right? So if it costs $35 to make, and then by the time you pay everybody, maybe you're gonna have to sell that watch for $150, but maybe nobody's gonna buy it because maybe it isn't worth $150. So then you've lost all that money because you bought all this stuff, you still have to pay all these people, but nobody bought the watch. Okay, so there's a huge business side of it too. There's a lot of math, there's a lot of financial planning, just tons and tons of stuff to think about. What about other classes that you take now that you might use doing industrial design? Let's think about that.